to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler.
What is up, Lock Shoppers? I wasn't saying anything earlier, so you didn't miss anything earlier. Small little hiccup there, but we're here on the Lock Shop. Matt Owanick in for Dustin Nielson today and tomorrow. Andrew Hustler Paterson will be joining us in just a few minutes. The Lock Shop right here in Edmonton Sports Talk is presented by Play Alberta. Just a few more days left to use that promo code EST Sports. Deposit 20, get a $50 free bet, or use YEG50. Deposit 5 and get a $50 free bet if you haven't used that this month. Still just a few more days, and then next week we will get the new promo codes for you. Thank you to everyone for listening across the Edmonton Sports Talk audio streams, edmontonsportstalk.com, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Apple Music. Thank you to those watching on YouTube as well as those listening to this on podcast later in the day. Thank you very much as well. Hit that thumbs up button. If you're on TuneIn, there's a thumbs up button. Hit that one. But when it comes to our podcast, please subscribe to all of our podcasts across the board as they all have their own podcasts. You just click that download button, like record it, and you don't have to go listen to it fully. Just get those downloads. Huge for us. So feel free to find all of our great content from Edmonton Sports Talk. That would be greatly appreciated as we are on one of our last days of year 2. I just realized that. Tomorrow's the last full day of year 2. Sunday we'll have the VIP golf show. Monday will be Green and Gold kickoff and post-game show live from the CBH in Calgary. And then Tuesday, it's kind of like this middle ground because we started on Wednesday 2 years ago. And Dusty and Eric are going on Cruise FM on Wednesday with Trev. So, but the Tuesday is really the start of year 2. That's just how it goes. So we're almost done. Or year 3, I should say. We're almost done year 2 of Edmonton Sports Talk. How time flies. Estes, not far away, September 16th. Get your tickets, Estes at edmontonsportstalk.com. Send an email there, and then you'll get the instructions how to go about getting your tickets. ESTYS at edmontonsportstalk.com. That's if you want to take place in a very special event unlike any other in the city of Edmonton. The Estes at Metro Cinema at Garneau Theatre. Just $10 for your tickets. Estes at edmontonsportstalk.com. If you want to come to the Estes, I see someone. Oh, he's just cutting grass. Oh, Jay and I were looking at the guy who was cutting grass, and we were so jealous of that machine. Those are like the stand-up lawnmower ones. I just want to go do that on a day like today. That would be unbelievable. Sorry, I get distracted sometimes very, very easily. Today on the show, I don't know how much CFL we'll get to. I think tomorrow, I'm going to push CFL Day till tomorrow with Huss for the most part because we don't start the CFL season or for this weekend until Sunday. We get Riders, we get Bombers, then Monday it's the double Labor Day Classic games. Thank you to everyone who is joining us on that Labor Day bus down to Calgary that is completely sold out along with the Edmonton Elks. But there was a lot of nice prop bets to look at for the season when it comes to the National Football League that maybe we'll get to with Huss. We'll have to talk some Toronto Blue Jays with Huss as well. They've got the Brewers coming up shortly. I believe they are off today, but they'll get the Brewers tomorrow. A huge series between, last time I checked, I will double check it right now, 2 of the top 3 teams in Major League Baseball. I don't see why it wouldn't be. No, it's the 2 top teams in Major League Baseball. That's where I was wrong. It's the Milwaukee Brewers, number 1. It's the Toronto Blue Jays 5 games back, and then it goes Detroit Tigers. So it's the 2 biggest teams in the Major League Baseball. They're getting set for a series that will get going tomorrow in Toronto between the Brewers and the Jays. So that's quite exciting for a lot of the Blue Jays fans. It's exciting for the Toronto fan base, and it's going to be Shane Bieber taking the mound once again for the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow. Let's bring him in right now. It is Hustler. Huss, how are we doing on this Thursday?
I'm doing well. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here in Winnipeg, and looks like we're gonna have some sweet weather right through the weekend on the prairies for the Labor Day Classic. We're all gearing up. How's the Elks crew? Everyone excited to make it down to Calgary and try to pull off a big upset?
Very excited. We sold out the 2 buses with the Elks, so we've got 2 full buses heading on down. And when you have a team that's won 3 straight,
yes,
let's go, right? Like, and we talked about it last week. Not as much expectations on this Elks team. The pressure more is on the Calgary Stampeders. The Stamps just are an amazing football team right now. But like for the Elks, like last I checked, the line's been moving. It's been all over the place to a degree between 8.5 and 7.5. Right now it's 8. It's Stampeders -8. So like it's expected the Elks are going to lose by a touchdown. So anything under that, if they lose by 3, if they somehow shock and win the football game, that bus ride back is going to be pretty good as well. So, no, I think people are very excited. People are pumped. It's just going to be a good Labor Day Monday to have a good time. The weather last I checked in Calgary is supposed to still be very nice, like as you said. Yeah, 30 degrees on Monday for us here. I don't know. Regina's, I'm assuming it's similar.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be 29 and sunny. I mean, absolutely perfect for the for it all. And I mean, the Prairie game is a little different because it kind of is a weekend. They play the game on Sunday. Everyone from Winnipeg shows up on Saturday. You got a big night in Regina, fun tailgate, and then everyone licks their wounds and goes home back on Monday. But the one day trip is great too. I mean, people can kind of get up. I'm sure it'll be a very fun bus on the way down to Calgary. I would expect it'd probably be a little quieter on the way back. You never know, though. A big Elks win could turn things into just complete pandemonium on the way back. Maybe you guys don't even go back that night.
No, or maybe there's some pit stops along the way. Is there a casino that we're driving by? Hey, let's all go to the casino. And like, that's the one thing there. It's like, it's going to be a long shift that day. Bus departs Commonwealth at 10 o'clock. By the time the game ends, it's about 7-ish. So by the time we get back, it's about 11 o'clock. So like this is a 13, 14-hour commitment type thing for the day.
It's a marathon.
And with that heat, it's like people I would expect on the way back are going to be a little drained. But imagine if the Elks pull that victory off. The vibes of those two buses, I don't know if I'd still go fully like it'd be a full party. But I think people are going to be feeling pretty good that they're going to want a few extra pops on the way back just to keep the good times rolling just for that little drive back. But yeah.
Are you doing the post game live from the bus?
No, we've never. I think, we've never tested our like portable stuff on the road or something. So like driving, so that's maybe another day. We actually connected with the Canadian Brew House. We're buddies with we know them up here, and they're partners of us up here. They connected us with the CBH that's like right by McMahon Stadium. So Jay and I are gonna head on over there, do the pre and post right from there, and then go over. And actually, like the Stamps though, like I don't know how their tailgate fully works. But one of our guys is bringing his tailgate stuff, so he wants to bring 2 11-pound briskets down. So we're going to have a little bit of an Elks tailgate going on down there too. So for those on the bus, stay tuned for Dave in Section T. He's like, yeah, it's going to cost this. And like, I've got it covered for you, Dave. Just go get the meat. I'll pay for it.
Look out for the guys in green and gold and smelling that brisket. That's, I mean, hey, you got to do it up. I mean, you're going to be heading down there. I don't know where the buses are going to be or how you're going to operate it, but you guys have some cold ones and a pit master like Dave. I think you're going to be in very, very good shape. Are you familiar with the Wayne's World Party at the Labor Day Classic in Regina?
No.
So this dates back 25 years. There is this dude that lived right across from the old Taylor Field. And Taylor Fields is essentially was in basically sort of a residential neighborhood, kind of similar to Commonwealth. And the property ends of the stadium. There's a back lane, and then there are houses.
Yeah.
And I guess at one point, Regina police were being pretty over the top with trying to crack people on open liquor tickets, people that have been tailgating or kind of sort of walking in. And this guy, Wayne, who lives in the corner house, said that, he didn't like that. He said, you know what, you guys can just sit here. Like, just if you take 2 steps over, you're in my yard. You can have your beers here. Great. So after a couple years, more and more Bomber fans were sort of just meeting there in the guy's backyard. He said, we're going to do up a big party. So he basically invited every bus of Bomber fans to his house. He has a band playing, and they're all Rider people. I mean, the band is fully in green, And then you've got 200, 300, 400 Bomber fans there, and a few Rider fans mixed in as well. But it has become the pilgrimage, and it got so crazy big during the final years of Taylor Field. We were wondering whether it was still going to keep going when they moved. It's actually turned out to be perfect. Our buses go there. It's about maybe a kilometer walk right down the street. You can see the stadium. So that will be rocking. I'd say about 3 hours before the game, if you check social media of any Bomber fans that are going there, they will all be there in that scene, and then they'll walk down the street to the game. Let me ask you this, just as we get to the games and the lines. What are your thoughts on the Rider Bomber game without any skin in the game? I mean, the Riders are number one team. The craziest thing, and I was just talking to Jamie and I about this, if you take out games against the Calgary Stampeders this year, the Riders are 8-0 and the Bombers are 6-1. Like, it's stunning. I mean, these teams have combined for 6 losses. 5 of them are by the Calgary Stampeders. I mean, there's a lot that I think we're going to learn about both of these teams coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, without a doubt. Going into this, like, it's funny because I think when you look at some of the Rider fans, it's kind of like from a fan perspective, there's confidence, but there's also these here we go again, maybe worry. Like, I saw somebody tweet after the loss to Calgary, which is like, imagine like if the Bombers win the next 2, the Riders are 3rd in the West all of a sudden. Like, they're already seeing that, like, the things that we've seen happen over the last number of years, like, it can happen. And now all of a sudden, from being the best team in the Canadian Football League, you might be sitting 3rd in the West when all is said and done for next Saturday. The Riders have looked really, like, to me, when the Riders have won games, they look more impressive than what I've seen from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, I'll take the Calgary games out of it then, in that sense, because, Winnipeg was rolled twice by Calgary and then lost the very close one to Calgary. Saskatchewan was rolled twice by Calgary. They were both these teams. Calgary didn't just beat in those games, in 4 of the 5 games. They beat them pretty good. It wasn't even close. But you seeing what Saskatchewan did to Hamilton, very impressive. Like, they made Bo look. He was supposed to be the MLP candidate. He would have been the favorite. And they made him look like just some average, if not below average, quarterback in that game. I think with the Riders, at times, they let the foot off the gas a little bit and allow a team to come back. But it's almost like feels like it's not fully in doubt. Whereas the Bombers, while they have let teams back in it, is also just more of like throughout the game, I'm not as sure. Like, I think what hurts the Bombers in this one for me is not, like, I haven't looked at any injury report or anything like that. The potential of no Nick Dembski.
I think they'll be good. I think they'll be good on that. He
was limited yesterday, but Jolton Schoen was a full practice participant yesterday. Yeah. But then Stearns did not practice yesterday.
He's out. Stearns is out. He's on the one game. That's where I think Saskatchewan gains an advantage going into this game, is that you've got a Riders team that's coming in pissed off. You got a Riders team with a sold out majority. Like, the majority of this crowd will still be green and white. There will be the Bombers faithful there, but this is the massive home crowd. And I think they've been more impressive this season. I don't like, though, the fact that the line is, what is the latest one I've seen? -5. Like, to me, this is a game, and we've seen it quite a few times. This is a final possession, late field goal. Lawther Castillo coming out, maybe. If it's coming down to that, I like the Bombers' chances at that point. If I'm the Riders, I'm worried. I was just about to say, I mean, if there's one thing you can say the Bombers definitely have the advantage in, it's the special teams kicking game now. Lawther is, I think he's under 65% right now. He missed a 28-yarder. Last week he is going to have so much pressure on him because it's sort of been building throughout the year, and you're able to kind of pass off the subpar play when you're winning games. But I'll tell you what, if the game's on the line in the Labor Day Classic, that's a whole, and he's not even kicking for the game. Like, he's probably kicking for his job. They've already brought another guy in. that's been looking good in practice. So, I mean, the heat's definitely been turned up on him. I mean, listen, part of me thinks, and we've seen some of these games in the big rivalry games with the huge crowds, when the home team gets going, I mean, sometimes they just run away with them. Yep. We have seen some complete blowouts. And I do think that there's a significant chance that if the Riders get a great start, they kind of just take it and run with it. And we're talking about a 14, 20-point win. I think for the Bombers to win this game, it'll be close. They need to have this game still be in question in the fourth quarter. And, and maybe put it onto the foot of their kicker, Sergio Castillo, who, of course, won it last year. And what was it, 35-33? Yeah. Absolutely epic football game.
Well, I'm just looking at the recent games on Labor Day. Bombers won 35-33, so 2 points last year. Riders won the year before by 2 points. Bombers won the year before by 2 points. 2021, Bombers dominated. It was 23-8. Then you go before that, Riders won by 2 points. It's weird that there's actually 4 of the last 5 years. It's dead on 2 points in all those, but they're just that close. That's how close this game can be. And yeah, I think we'll go through official picks and we'll try to build something tomorrow on the show. But as we're talking about this kind of gives me a little more confidence a little bit for the Bombers, knowing that, like, if this does come down to the leg, I have no faith in Brett Lawther. Like, you were right on his stat there. I pulled it. It was 65.7% or whatever it is. Like, and I watched him in person through halftime, just practicing, and he was struggling. And he threw his arms up like this because he didn't know what to do to fix it. And then last week he makes another error. And we saw it, he recovered last season, but last year he had his misses. Like, he had that Montreal game where he missed, 4 or 5 kicks and cost them the game against the Montreal Alouettes. Like, this is a kicker that has struggled the last couple of years, that if it does come down to being a close football game, I like the Riders or the Bombers' chances of being the Riders because I trust the kicker way more than the other kicker.
Yeah. I mean, just as far as the spread goes, just rolling through all of those numbers, it's all I needed to hear to give me confidence to take the Bombers +5 or +5.5 or whatever it is. I mean, knowing that, as I say, Saskatchewan could win by a number, but I'm here for another really, really close one. And as I say, we'll lock in these picks tomorrow, but I still think that Cody gives them not only a chance to win, but even if they're down significantly, the guy never quits. They come up in the fourth quarter. You could have a backdoor cover as well. So, yeah,
the cover is the thing I'd be looking at. Like, I'm very skeptical of an Elks victory on Monday.
Yeah.
I looked at the margin of victory the Calgary Stampeders have this season. There's 7 wins, I think it is. They're 7-3. Yeah, they're 7-3. In their 7 victories, their margin of victory is like 13.8 points. They don't just win football games this season; they beat you good.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think it's pretty much just that Bombers game that has been really close for the Calgary Stampeders when it comes to a victory for them. Edmonton has looked well, but you look at the last 3 weeks. To me, they weren't impressive enough. Like, they got wins. That's the only thing I can say is, well, win's a win. But they weren't impressive in those victories for me to be like, okay, now you're at a Calgary Stampeders level. Like, now you're there. Like, Jay is bringing up the idea, does this Elks team play to their competition? Because, really, they should have ran away with the games against Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa. But it was all close. And there were moments in those games you're thinking, are they going to lose this football game? But then you look at the games prior to that, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, 2 really good football teams. And this team was right there. This team was in those football games. So what are we going to see on Monday? I'm right now, this team hasn't beaten anyone. This team, the 4 wins they have, not impressive victories in terms of quality of opponent that they've beat. So I'm skeptical of what they're going to go do. Part of this, though, is, do the Calgary Stampeders overlook the Edmonton Elks? Is that something we're going to see? We'll find out. I think you're right, though. Like, Cody's a guy that will find those late points to get this close. And it will be maybe like they'll have the ball 4 minutes left or something. You think, okay, well, they're in a position now where they, touchdown and a field goal, they're tied type thing. And he's going to go get you one of those points. So it is a big spread. But I also wonder, like, what do the Calgary Stampeders still have to do this season to prove to me that this is just who they are? that they are just this good, and they will take care of anyone and everyone as long as VA is there, as long as Dedrick Mills is running that football, and as long as that defense is showing up.
Hey, I mean, they have lost twice to Ottawa, and I know VA wasn't in one of those games. One was sort of a weird weather game or whatever, but Ottawa was in that same weather.
Absolutely.
The fact of the matter is they're not sitting here at 10-0 right now. I mean,
correct.
They've lost some games. So anyways, it's going to be a real fun weekend in the Canadian Football League, and that Battle of Ontario is going to be interesting too, with Arbuckle feeling so hot coming off that his performance last week. Crazy.
What a season for him. If he keeps this up, what do you do with the Argos next year if you're John Murphy, Pinball Clemens, when it comes to your quarterbacking situation?
Sorry, just looking at back to the Dwayne from Tway. This comes down to kicks. I'm pissed leaving Mosaic and Regina Sunday. I take it Dwayne is a rider guy. Maybe we'll see at the game there. Anyway, sorry, back to Arbuckle.
Well, if he keeps this play up, I don't care what the record is at the end, because he's just playing fantastic football for the most part. Interceptions is his big concern, but going into 26, what do you do? Is it an open competition in camp? Is it Chad Kelly's the number one? Do you move on from Chad Kelly and go with Nick Arbuckle? What right now, what do you think is going through the minds of John Murphy and Pinball Clemens when they're looking ahead to the future of the Argos?
Well, it's a great question, Matty, in that, like, I'm not thinking they're going to be signing Arbuckle to a 3 or 4 year deal and saying, okay, this is our guy moving forward. He could certainly still be in the mix and potentially be the starter. But the whole thing is Chad Kelly. And listen, I mean, I don't know whether he's even going to play this year.
There's I guess they're actually starting to get in there.
I mean, but as I said, like, how do you sit Arbuckle right now? I mean, he just went for almost 450 again last week. I mean, here's the thing with Chad Kelly. They're paying him a ton of money.
Yeah.
And he's also a bit of a liability to the organization outside of being in between those white lines. I did notice yesterday that they just signed Max Duggar.
Yeah.
Who was the runner-up in the 22 Heisman Trophy, I believe, with TCU. I think they went to the national championship that year as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they upset Michigan to get to the national championship game.
I mean, hey, they got Shadur Sanders on their neg list too. We'll see whether Shadur.
They got both Sanders on their neg list
available. Well, Shiloh he's available right now. He just got cut after punching a guy at the end of great composure. You're trying to make a team and you punch a guy. Smart,
brilliant.
Smart play.
No one's gonna notice this. Just two of you near the end zone.
But I do wonder whether the Argos, just based on the cost benefit analysis, stay with Chad Kelly long term with what they have in Arbuckle, and knowing that, you know, they are going to be adding some other talented young quarterbacks making a move. To me, it comes down to Dinwiddie. I mean, Dinwiddie, a former quarterback, a coach. I mean, he'll know what he wants.
Yeah,
but he's getting great play coming out of Arbuckle right now. So, I mean, maybe they can allocate some of that Kelly money elsewhere if they can move on from him after the season. I'm really not sure. This would be a very different conversation, I think, if the team was 5-6 as opposed to 3-8. In that it still is a long road for them to get into the playoffs. And if you do miss the playoffs, pretty hard to say, oh, we're just going to keep things going. But it's certainly not on Nick Arbuckle, I'll tell you that.
Then this is where my head goes is like Nick Arbuckle, is this just a career year? Can you expect this from Nick Arbuckle moving forward? But then the other part of Chad Kelly is, like, if Chad Kelly was coming off of just a standard injury, he's a solid quarterback. Take everything away off the field, to me, Chad Kelly's still the guy to go with.
Yeah.
But the injury he's coming back from, and if he's not going to have played this year, what is Chad Kelly as a quarterback now? Can he still be the quarterback that he once was? That is a devastating injury that he had. And one thing that does make Chad Kelly such a good quarterback at times is his legs. He can run. He could be mobile. He can move. Is he still going to be able to do that? So, like, I'm trying to see. I don't know how long Arbuckle signed for this year. I couldn't imagine he'd sign a 2-year deal.
It's a 1-year deal. I mean, most of the deals are 1 unless you're a big time player. And I mean, they had Kelly. Like, he won the Grey Cup. He was going to be out, so they brought him back for a year.
Okay, the articles, they just said they re-signed him. You're going to want that insurance. Like, even if you're going with Chad Kelly, you're going to want that insurance. But if you bring back Nick Arbuckle, like, it's one, how do you sit a guy who's right now second in the Canadian Football League in passing yards? Like, there's going to be some very interesting, tough conversations that they're going to have amongst themselves in Toronto, because I also, like, even if I'll go this far. If you say to the guys, open camp, job's on the line, best player, go win it. Is Chad Kelly a guy that's going to accept being in a competition? Or is he going to go all pissy about that?
It's not really a competition based on what the check that he's getting. I mean, as we all know, I mean, as I say, if it really comes down to it and they think, oh, maybe it's this guy, maybe it's that guy, I think they get out of whatever they can on the Kelly contract and they go with the cheaper guy and, move forward. I mean, especially the Argos, considering the way they're handling things next year, where they're going to be playing 3 home games on the road in Hamilton, Saskatchewan, and Winnipeg.
Yeah,
so
have we talked about that? I don't think we have.
I don't think I've spoken about it with you, no.
What do you make of it?
Well, it's very simply, to me, a monetary decision. I mean, they know that they'll get way more money playing in Regina and Winnipeg and Hamilton than they will in some of those other areas. I mean, I guess I can maybe understand the Hamilton game, even though it's patently unfair to the Argos. I don't know how they would do tickets, but at least Argo fans can get to that game.
Yes.
The games in Winnipeg and Regina are ridiculous. I mean, it basically completely makes the Argos a second-class team in the Canadian Football League, which is not great for the league. And I mean, the other thing, I know Luke Wilson was ranting about, getting some opportunities to grow the Argos brand in other areas of Ontario. I actually do agree with that.
Me too.
I think if you're forced with this situation, like, go out, engage a couple of other communities in London or Windsor or wherever else that you could play it, and practice there all week. Do some things in the community. Try and get new fans that might, make it to games in the future for that. But to me, Maddie, and I think I've said this with Dusty before, but I'll reset it with you. To me, the biggest miss on all of this is not, if the Argos have to play neutral site games or road games, how the hell are we not having at least one game in Quebec City?
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Like, we've been trying to get a 10th team for so long, and with this maritime thing, and it's never worked. Football in Quebec is by far the healthiest it is anywhere in the country. The Laval Rouge et Or are a continual powerhouse. They're the shortest odds to win the Vanier this year. Like, is their stadium big? No, it's 12,000. Maybe you could add some more seats, but at minimum, you filled in. Like, to me, I have no idea why we haven't talked more about Quebec City being a potential target 10th team for the CFL. It makes way too much sense. I don't know whether it's just such an English focus. They don't think about Quebec like that. But that's the best football market in the country that does not have a team. It just seems like it's sitting there waiting to have it done. And I don't understand why they wouldn't at least, like, play the Alouettes and Argos there one game, gauge the interest, and maybe you can move forward and finally get the damn 10th team we've been waiting for.
Well, Tommy and I have talked about a lot in the hangout that it seems like the CFL has shifted away from Atlantic Canada, and it looks like Quebec City is going to be the next spot. In all the time I've thought about the Argos playing 3 games on the road for home, quote unquote, home games, I never once thought, well, this is when you do touchdown, whatever again. And you're 100% right. I get the Hamilton game because it's easier for Argo fans to get there. I like the Bombers Rider games. If I'm the Elks, if I'm the Stamps, I guess the Lions are going to Victoria, but I'm like, well, now the Riders and the Bombers get an extra home game here. That exactly helps them very nice. I'm a little annoyed by that, but I never yes. Why aren't you doing touchdown Quebec City? I'm just looking at stadiums in the country. Laval in Quebec City has a 13,000 seat stadium. So you're getting your Toronto attendance anyways. And then I'm just even actually looking in the market to add on to this. Like, Guelph has an 85 8,500-seat stadium. Kingston has an 8,000-seat stadium. London has an 8,000-seat stadium. I'm sure maybe in some of those spots you could add a few extra seats and maybe get it a little larger. But it should be in the communities. But why aren't we in Quebec City? Heck, why aren't they doing a touchdown Quebec City, touchdown Atlantic even, and just send them out to both those and just try to grow this game in that way with full neutral site games for that and use this as a CFL growing opportunity. So
see, that's where the league needs to step in.
Yeah,
because
100%.
I think if the Argos are making their decisions, they're obviously just cheaping out. Where can we make money? What's the least amount of work for us to do? Oh, we'll just play in Winnipeg. We'll play in Regina.
We'll make a bunch of cash.
Johnson, I would say, as the commissioner, the new commissioner, I would love for him to step in and say, listen, we're going to move this game to Quebec. We're going to do it. I mean, if there is interest in potentially making that a 10th team, this is the most perfect opportunity to get out there. And, as I said, you can bring the Montreal team. That would be a natural rival if they actually come in. You have the Argos get up there. You do that. And then, if there's another area, I mean, I know they did the Victoria game. I don't know if there's any other spots outside of Ontario that you could do that the CFL would really want to. If that's the case, go for it. If not, take some leadership and try and move forward to help this Argo franchise out. And I hate to say it, but it doesn't seem like the people within the walls of the company that owns the Argos is that much interested in prioritizing that.
Nope.
So the league needs to step in and try and make that happen. I mean, I know they've announced their plans and that's the way they're going for it, but I would think that there would still be enough time to maybe reconsider that and take advantage of what actually to me is an opportunity, not a big barrier to putting together a proper season.
Yeah, and this isn't all this would be happening not for a negative reason, but it's because, the World Cup's in Canada. And these two cities, they're hosting the World Cup game, so we have a league, and these teams don't have to go play somewhere else. So even if the Argos if they were in Guelph and they got 8,500 people at attendance, you wouldn't sit there and be like, yeah, what a bad look. It'd be, no, well, their stadium's being used. And in our country, we're not loaded with football stadiums like we are in the States, where there's only so much limit. So even from a PR perspective, it's all good. But you're right, this is MLSE. Well, not MLSE. I shouldn't say that anymore. This is Rogers for the most part. In this sense, going, how do we make some cash and not do what's best for this franchise and for what's best for the league? And that's why this is just now, to one degree now, is interesting, because it's then, okay, well, is this going to be the first big thing Stuart Johnson's going to have to deal with, which is ownership of the Argos? In the end, is Rogers going to throw the keys on the table and say, we want out? The one credit I'll give Randy Ambrosie, the stable of ownership he left the CFL in, is probably the best that we've ever seen.
For sure.
But Toronto might now become an issue again because Bell is out and it is fully Rogers, and now we'll have to wait and see. But I never thought of the easy Quebec City game there, and an absolute drop ball.
The irony of the whole thing is that it's Bell that is basically the media engine of the league. While Rogers is on the other side looking the other way and not caring about an asset that is promoted by all of that. So I really hope that they get that turned around. The conversation around the Argos is so tired, but it's legitimate. I mean, it's an embarrassment for the league that, you've got a team that's won 2 of the last 3 Grey Cups in the biggest market that can't draw like any of the other teams in way smaller markets. And I mean, I know there's a lot going on there, all that, but there are fans.
Yep.
And a lot of the Argo ones that are there are very loyal and they're awesome. I mean, I want to recognize them, but realize that they need to find another 10,000 of those people. And, while the people in Guelph or London might not be able to get to every game if they're going to get turned on to fans, the goodwill of going into those markets, playing there, having young people and football community being able to get involved and meet the guys and be a part of a professional game, I think would be a great start to kind of trying to, get more people. I mean, it doesn't matter. People are driving in for the games. They're still showing up and going. And that's what they need more of in Toronto right now.
Want to get to something that's happening in Toronto tomorrow. It's Blue Jays, it's Brewers. The series opens up. Shane Bieber takes to the mound for the Jays tomorrow for his game. Last Friday, unbelievable game for him, 9 Ks. This is going to be an exciting series. if you just look at it at any point in the season, and I don't know how often this happens in baseball because of just how many teams and the way the schedules are, you got the 2 best teams in baseball based on record meeting.
It's a hell of a way to get going. I would kill for them to be seeing each other in a couple months as well. How about that game last night, by the way? Like, if they don't win that game, the panic levels about the bullpen would be incredibly high. The guys still come in, somewhat get lit up. Lauer doesn't have a great night and gives up the 4 homers. But man, there's no bigger move for the Jays than having the confidence to bring Hoffman back in after he got absolutely lit up the night before, and to have him come up big, holding down a 9-8 win. That was a really, really big one for the Blue Jays, and a perfect time to get a day off and then prepare for this matchup against the Milwaukee Brewers, who have sort of been the equivalent of the Blue Jays in the NL this year. Nobody saw this season coming. And when they get hot, they get so hot, Matt. They had an 11-game or 12-game winning streak earlier the year, and then they did it again and added a couple more on. So I will say this, though. The Brewers, since that 13 or 14-game heater, have sort of been a little bit more normal. They won 2 or 3 against the D-backs, but they won only 1 against the Giants in their last series before that, and took only 1 of 4 against the Cubs. So they've been, I guess they're 4-5 in their last 9. So they've come down to earth a little bit. And the boost that the Jays are going to get from Bieber on the hill tomorrow night. I mean, he was just absolutely phenomenal the week before. So I'm locked in. This is going to be a great series. We'll be paying attention, I guess, from a distance on Saturday and Sunday while we're doing the football thing in Regina. But Friday night, tomorrow, it's going to be must watch for fans right now. It really does feel like we're well into September, although we still got another bit of stretch on this regular season to go for the Jays to finish the job. They got to finish in the top 2 in the AL. I mean, that's the thing. They need to avoid that wild card round, give themselves a best of 5 right out of the gate, completely fresh starting rotation set up as you need. And it's right there for the taking. They've just got to finish the job.
Well, and this is that series that could kind of keep them in that spot where it's like, okay, you're going to feel good about the Jays the rest of September of whether they could finish in those top 2, because, half game up on the Tigers for second, but then it's, Red Sox, Astros, Yankees, all 4.5 games back. If you drop enough games in this series, like the Yankees, I know they get the White Sox this weekend, that there's wins for the Yankees to be had there. If you drop also, that could easily be going into Monday, Tuesday, 1.5 back or something. And now it's a real race. You come out of this weekend and we're still seeing that 4 games back type thing. You're in a very nice spot if you're the Toronto Blue Jays. As you go through September, it's going to be, this is why, this is
what
balls here.
One quick note on the Brewers. I'm just seeing that, their all-star closer, Trevor McGill, just got put on the 15-day this morning. So, or yesterday. So that's another hit for the Brewers right now. But they're pretty comfortable despite only being the 4-5. They've still got a 6.5 game lead on the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. So bring it on. I guess today, I mean, the big question is, with no Blue Jays, no CFL tonight, like, what's the number one thing on the docket? I think it's going to basically be a night of tennis. From Queens.
No. Haas, you've got some college football tonight.
Maction?
There's all sorts of today there's of all the ranked teams, there's only Boise State playing South Florida. That gets going at 3:30 Mountain Time. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 games in college football. If you have those, if you have non-TSN Sportsnet providers, like if you sail the seas, there's a lot of college football that can be watched tonight.
Yeah. Sail the seas. So here we are for tonight's games in CFB.
I wonder if TSN has any of these.
Boise's a 5.5 point favorite in South Florida. Ohio and Rutgers going at it. Wyoming, Akron.
If you have TSN Plus, there's a lot of games to be watched tonight on TSN Plus for anyone that pays for that. I see 4 games on TSN Plus today. So college football, week 0 in a sense was last weekend, but now week 1 begins today. So we've got all sorts of action, and then that leads into this weekend. And we got Ohio State, Texas on Saturday.
I was going to ask you about that. I'm seeing this is a very tight game. I mean, Texas even money, Ohio State a slight favor on the money line. I'm seeing 1.5, but these are 2 of the top teams. Arch Manning going into the shoe.
Did you see what happened to Dave Portnoy?
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Dave Portnoy is now joining the Fox broadcasts for college football and stuff, and he's a Michigan alum, big Michigan booster, loves his Wolverines. He's supposed to be there for Fox's pregame broadcast, and Ohio State is banning him from the stadium. That's a bad look. You just won the national title. You're natty champs. Why are you worried about the guy that's on the broadcast?
They're just feeding him so much. And then he gets to do a 4-minute press conference about how Ohio State is so soft and Michigan is in their heads, which I think they are. I mean, that's the one thing about college football. They won the national championship. They won the whole thing. They're the best team. And yet, they didn't beat Michigan. So big. That rivalry is so big. Losing to Michigan. I mean, well, do you remember the reaction from Ohio State fans after that game? It was fire Ryan Day right now, today.
If the playoffs were 4 teams, Ryan Day would not be the head coach of Ohio State because Ohio State would not have made the playoffs.
Exactly. Because of that game.
That ended it. That would have ended it for him. But this is the one thing I don't like about the new playoff format, though. It's just like they didn't beat Michigan. They didn't win the Big Ten, yet they're national champs. And that never was the case in college football. Those things all meant something. So now the regular season means a little less. It's about now, like pro sports, just getting to the playoffs and seeing what you can do.
Yeah.
But in the end, like those rivalry games still, like, if you're an Iowa State fan, like there's always that you have to deal with Michigan fans saying, yeah, you won the title, but we beat you. You didn't beat us that year.
Yeah. Well,
and you always have to deal with that.
And, from a CFL standpoint, I mean, only one team's going to win the Grey Cup and everything happens in the playoffs. But for a lot of fans here, or for fans in Regina, even when the team's not very good, you got to win the Labor Day Classic.
Yeah.
You got to win that one. And if you don't, then you're hearing about it. It's the same way here with the Banjo Bowl. But the Texas-Ohio State game is fascinating to me. Arch Manning, and I know Arch Sr. or Archie has said that he is not turning pro next year. He'll be returning to the University of Texas. I do wonder, Matt, if that doesn't change, if the New Orleans Saints are the worst team in the NFL this year and have the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
You think they'd want to go to New Orleans? I understand where you're going with the history.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard that. I mean, that they found they would love for him to be the guy moving forward. And to be honest, if you sort of bottom out for a couple years, he would go into a situation where, they get through this cap hell they were in last year and this year. You maybe have one more sort of lean year, but then you've got a franchise QB, you've got cap space, you can get picks. I mean, you can turn things around quite quickly, but I do think that they very much do love the possibility of having Arch be the next Archie. Although Archie was terrible. Have you ever looked at his record?
I don't think I have.
He's like a legend in New Orleans, but that just speaks to how bad that team was forever. Because the wins and losses, there were not very many of them.
3-5-2 first year, 2-11-1, 5-8, 3-8, 2-11, 1-8, 7-9, 8-8. We got to 500, 1-15, 3-8, 0-5, 0-3, 0-2.
I'll say this: there's no one in the history of pro sports that has had the way people view them and speak about them changed more by the performances of children. Like I saw a thing with Mark Titus and Brandon Walker on one of the Barstool shows, and they were talking about Arch Manning, and Titus just said, "Well, he's a legend, right? I mean, he's we win a Super Bowl, and he's up." And Walker's like, "Oh no," and then they went through that, I mean, you think of him being as like the patriarch of the greatest quarterback family dynasty ever, and he was the guy that started it. Everyone forgets about how terrible the Saints were during that whole era, but hey, he's given more than his fair share back to the NFL with Peyton and Eli, and obviously where they're at from there.
To what you're saying about the Saints, I wonder if maybe they would would you take a gamble if you're that family, though, knowing if the Saints are bad this year, there's a good chance they'll be bad the year following. So let them rebuild a little bit. Go draft an offensive lineman or something. Build that team a little bit. Stay in Texas and then try to get to the Saints the next year.
I guess it's a gamble. The thing is, if he's like a clear-cut number one pick, you got to have the number one pick to pick him, right? I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. But if you think that the Saints maybe are going to be bad for the next 2 years, like if you're that family, if you see that they're god awful this season,
I mean,
pardon?
It's all about being the worst team. I mean,
I know
you could do that, come back and the Jets went 1-16, so you're picking second.
There's always another team that could be terrible.
So that's the thing. I mean, but as I say, as of right now, the plan is 2 years at Texas as the starter for Arch. But that'll be a big story as we get throughout the season.
I was just looking at the NFL quickly because we just have a few more minutes and then we'll let you go off to WST. I was just looking at some of the season-long props for the NFL, and one popped up. Comeback Player of the Year. Dak Prescott, Aiden Hutchinson, Christian McCaffrey, Trevor Lawrence, J.J. McCarthy, Nick Chubb were the top 6 that I see. Prescott is plus 260. Hutchinson is plus 270. And then McCaffrey's plus 370. That's an interesting award as I was looking at that. Because, I feel like Aiden Hutchinson is, I was just surprised that he'd be number 2 right now. Because of monster injury. But he almost came back last year, I think. He's just a beast. What is Dak Prescott have?
He was probably going to be Defensive Player of the Year. Listen, if Hutchinson comes back and plays at the level he was able to play last year, I think he's the guy. Dak, Dak's there because he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And, he probably could have played. They probably could have brought him back last year. But the season was essentially done, so they just rolled with it. I don't think that McCaffrey was in and out. The injury that Hutchinson had, I think that plays into it too. And that was a devastating injury. And we saw how important he was to the Lions once he was out. They still played very well and won games and, were there in the playoffs. But on the surface right now, I think Hutchinson would be my play. But what's really interesting is that every year there's a guy or two that comes out later on in the season. Joe Flacco was a perfect example. DeMar Hamlin that whole year, 2 years ago, was minus money. It was minus 250 to be the comeback player of the year, just because he almost died on the field and he actually played and was on the team. Well, by the end of the year, it's okay, well, that's a nice story. And it's great that he's around. He's not doing a lot on the Bills right now. He's not playing a ton. And then you've got Joe Flacco coming out of nowhere into Cleveland and being the starter again and moving forward. So preseason, to me, Hutchinson would be the pick. But that's a fun market to kind of pay attention to throughout the year, because there will be a guy or two that's not even on that list that'll pop on it at a good number, and then it'll get shorter. And then in the last couple of weeks of the season, we'll be talking about a couple of those guys, but a couple guys that were off the radar at this point being in the mix.
We'll go much further, and we'll look at the picks for Labor Day weekend tomorrow on Lock Shop. What's coming up on WST this afternoon?
Well, we're going to be getting ready for Labor Day. Jeff Hamilton will join us before he heads out west. Jamie Nye in Regina as well. Big news today on the basketball front. The Sea Bears have a new head coach and GM.
Okay.
We'll get the latest on that. We will have our fantasy expert jump on. I've got some questions to ask him and some soul searching after I choked huge last night in my draft. It did not handle things well, Matt. So
pressure got you?
Yeah, just some, I was picking one. So by the time it came back to me, I had guys that I thought would be there. Neither of them were. Managed that okay, but then put it this way. I have 0 running backs. I've got a great quarterback. I've got a bunch of receivers. You have never seen a running back room as ugly as mine from a 10-game league. So we will do some of that. And
who's the best running back that you are carrying?
Aaron Jones.
Oh, don't feel bad. I'm carrying Aaron Jones in my draft this upcoming weekend. 16 teams though, but Aaron Jones is mine.
Who my second running back is? Jordan Mason, also on the Vikings. And then I've got like Braylon Allen, Tyler Algier, Quinshon Junkins, who's not even signed.
Haas, that's why there's a waiver wire for you.
Well, listen, there's nothing on the wire right now. I may have
first couple weeks, somebody will pop up. You just got to jump on it right away.
Well, that's the thing. I've got Jamar Chase. I've got McConkey. I've got Calvin Ridley. I've got Tyreek Hill. So my receivers are insane, but I can't even play them all. Basically, I needed to take a running back in the 5th round, and Tyreek Hill was still sitting there. Everyone else stunk. Like, there was no one really, I thought, worth the first pick in the 5th round, so I took him. And the running backs kept going. And as I said,
always can make a trade.
Work to do.
Always can make a. Sometimes you just got to take best player available and deal with the ramifications later.
Offers are being sent out as we speak. I want to have a good one. I will catch you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Enjoy WST. Haas, Remus, they're coming up over on the YouTube channel for Winnipeg Sports Talk. Go check them out. Coming up here on Edmonton Sports Talk, 2 guys and a goalie. Hernán Salas is back in the building. Joaquin Gage and Matt Cassian. They'll be on with 2 guys and a goalie. Then it's EST Afternoons. Hernan and Gager. And then myself, Jay Milne, live from the Damon Bunting Golf Classic. And then Zach will be back here at Central Controls for Edmonton Sports Talk, but we'll have the Reed Wilkins Show from 3 until 6. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to the Lock Shop presented by Play Alberta right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. On behalf of Haas, I am Matt. Thanks for tuning in. 2 guys in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.